Hello everyone, welcome to our class. And today, we will be discussing about the different figures of speech. A figure of speech is a word or phrase that possesses a separate meaning from its literal definition. It can be a metaphor or simile designed to make a comparison. It can be the repetition of alliteration or the exaggeration of hyperbole to provide a dramatic effect. Guide questions. What are the different figures of speech? Which of these figures of speech is commonly used? How can figures of speech assist you in writing well? Figures of speech lend themselves particularly well to literature and poetry. They also pack a punch in speeches and movie lines. Indeed, these tools abound in nearly every corner of our life. First figure of speech is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the beginning sounds of neighboring words. Example, she sells seashells. Walter wondered where Winnie was. As you have noticed, they all started with the same letter sound. That is what we call alliteration figure of speech. Next is anaphora. Anaphora is a technique where several phrases or verses begin with the same word or words. Take a look at this example. I came, I saw, I conquered. Mad world, mad kings, mad composition. Notice that they all start with the same word or phrase. Next is assonance. Assonance is a repetition of vowel sounds, not just letters, in words that are close together. The sounds don't have to be at the beginning of the word. For sound A, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Notice that there is a repetition of A sound in this group of words. Same is true with letter E sound and I sound, and O sound and U sound. Euphemism is a mild, indirect, or vague term that often substitutes for a harsh, blunt, or offensive term. For example, a little thin on top instead of going bald, fell off the back of a truck instead of stolen. Euphemism is used to avoid very offensive terms. Hyperbole. Hyperbole uses exaggeration for emphasis or effect. For example, I've told you to stop 1,000 times. That must have cost $1 billion. Irony. Irony occurs when there's a marked contrast between what is said and what is meant, or between appearance and reality. For example of verbal irony, how nice, she said when I told her I had to work all weekend. Situational irony example, a traffic cop gets suspended for not paying his parking tickets. Metaphor. A metaphor makes a comparison between two unlike things or ideas. Example, her heart is stone. Time is money. The world is a stage. Metaphor does not use like when comparing ideas. Next is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a term for a word that sounds like what it is describing. For example, whoosh, splat, buzz, click, oink. Next is oxymoron. An oxymoron is two contradictory terms used together. Example, peace force, kosher ham, jumbo shrimp, sweet sorrow, free market. Next is personification. Personification gives human qualities to non-living things or ideas. Example, the flowers nodded. The snowflakes danced, the thunder grumbled, the fog crept in, the wind howled. Next is simile. A simile is a comparison between two unlike things using the words like or as. For example, as slippery as an eel, like peas in the pod, as blind as a bat, eats like a pig, as wise as an owl. Next is synecdoche. Synecdoche occurs when a part is represented by the whole, or conversely, the whole is represented by the part. An understatement occurs when something is said to make something appear less important or less serious. For example, it's just a scratch, referring to a large dent. It's a little dry and sandy, referring to the driest desert in the world.